Pleasant morning to members of the media and welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service weekly media briefing for Wednesday, 15th January 2020. I'm Superintendent Wayne Meister, Public Information Officer of the TTPS. Together with me, I have Sergeant Orcil Phillips of the Traffic Branch and also Police Constable Brent Batson, who is the TTPS Road Safety Coordinator. Before we go into these officers, I'll now give you some information. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Prisons Service, are in Tobago this week conducting what you call Civics in School program. The program started on Monday, 13th January, and will end this Friday, the 17th. The target audience are students from Form 1 to 6. Our officers will enlighten the students on behavior, the new laws as they apply to their activities, and the consequences of their behaviors. The officers will interact with students of the Roxborough Secondary School, Speyside High, Mason Hall Secondary, Scarborough Secondary, Signal Hill Secondary, and the Tobago Enforcement Center. This is an initiative of the I Support Our Service Secretariat. As we continue to give you some information, 3 alleged abductors are in police custody after they reportedly kidnapped 2 medical doctors on the compound of the San Fernando General Hospital early this morning. The doctors were leaving the hospital when they were snatched by 3 men and bundled into a car which sped off. A report was made to the police and officers saw the vehicle on the Solomon Hochoy Highway and gave chase. The vehicle with the 3 men and 2 doctors ran off the road and overturned near the Macaulay flyover, Claxton Bay. All 5 persons were removed from the vehicle. One of the doctors, identified as Dr. Rudradeva Sharma, was killed. The other doctor and the other 3 men were rushed to the San Fernando General Hospital, where they are all being warded in a serious condition. 1 firearm was recovered from the vehicle, a 9mm pistol, together with 9 rounds. So that is just some information and some updates. I will now hand you over to Police Constable Brent Batson, our Road Safety Coordinator.
All right, thanks, Assistant Superintendent Meister. So I've been asked to just do the TTPS road traffic summary review. It's for 2019, to give an idea how we progressed, some of the challenges, and what we plan to do even moving forward into 2020. Overall analysis, according to data from the Traffic and Highway Patrol Branch Records and Statistical Unit, as well as the Roadway Surveillance Unit, in 2019, Trinidad and Tobago continued to experience a sustained reduction in fatal road traffic accidents, recording 102 fatal road traffic accidents in 2019 compared to 110 in 2018. This figure represents a 7% reduction in fatal road traffic accidents. Unfortunately, there was an increase in the number of road deaths from 118 in 2018 to 121 in 2019, representing an increase in by 3% of lives lost. So in 2019, unfortunately, we experienced more multiple fatal incidents where we had a reduction of crashes, but an increase in the number of lives taken as a result of those crashes. The months of January, February, March, and July were the deadliest months, accounting for 34% of road deaths. What was notable? There were decreases in road traffic accidents involving fatalities in the last 3 months, with a 50% decline recorded in October, a 31% decrease in November, and a decrease of 44% in December. December's accident figure represented the lowest seen in a decade. By day of the week, weekend road carnage continued, with 50% of fatal road traffic accidents occurring on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. A similar temporal pattern emerged, with a linear pattern mirroring that of 2018, showing an increase in fatal road traffic accidents between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. In 2019, highways experienced a 25% increase in fatal road traffic accidents, whilst main roads and the priority bus route experienced a decrease of 21% and 43% respectively. And this represented the lowest main road and PBR fatal road traffic accident figure for the past decade. So we did see some progress in some areas. However, there were notable increases in fatal road traffic accidents along 2 major highways, the Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Uriah Butler Highway, experiencing upsurges of 50% in both instances. there was a 120% and 83% increase in the number of lives lost on the Uriah Butler Highway and Churchill Highway, respectively. A worrisome statistic is that most fatal highway accidents were coded as pedestrians crossing carriageways, heedless to traffic, and this demonstrated a 57% increase in its prevalence in 2019. And that just goes to show how preventable a lot of these incidents were if people would just use pedestrian crossing areas and, of course, use walkover infrastructure. Very preventable. Drivers formed the largest category of road user deaths in 2019, accounting for 35% of road deaths. However, 2019 saw a 9% decrease in driver deaths, with 43 drivers being killed on the roadways compared to 47 in 2018. Where we saw the largest increase was in passenger fatalities, which was an increase of 106%, with 35 recorded deaths in 2019 compared to 17 in 2018. 20% of those involved passengers being ejected from that vehicle. And this again shows the preventable nature if persons were utilizing seatbelts, especially the front and rear seat occupants. Simple things that could have saved a lot of lives. Motorcyclist fatalities reduced by 33%, with 6 recorded deaths in 2019 compared to 8 in 2018. But another area of success was a decrease in road deaths in the category of pedocyclists, where we had an 89% decrease, with 1 pedocyclist being killed in collisions in 2019 compared to 9 in 2018. In 2020, 7 persons have already lost their lives due to road traffic accidents, and that is 7 too many. This year, the TTPS intends to double our efforts to help save lives and keep families together. The Commissioner of Police has identified road casualty reduction as one of the organization's key strategic targets, and we will be acquiring additional speed guns as well as training of officers, which will assist in our roadway speed management efforts. The Ministry of Works and Transport's U-turn traffic enforcement platform is also set to commence soon, and this introduces new technology for electronic ticketing, driver demerit points, and a traffic enforcement camera system. We will also be lobbying the Ministry of Works and Transport for consideration of legislation to mandate the use of seatbelts by rear seat occupants. I will now hand you over to Sergeant Orcil Phillip of the Traffic and Highway Patrol Branch, who will brief you on some Carnival road safety tips and advice.
I extend New Year's greetings to all, and we hope that you all come together to help the road be safe for this 2020. As Carnival 2020 activities have begun across the country, we wish to remind all persons to exercise greater care and responsibility when using the nation's roadways. The Traffic and Highway Patrol Branch is warning drivers that there will be an increased DUI checkpoints across the country and to detect and deter alcohol-impaired driving. We appeal to citizens to use maxis, taxis, and designated drivers for transportation to and from parties, and of course, if they think that they may consume too much alcohol, they are free to use that as well. Section 70A(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 4850, creates an offense for a person to drive a motor vehicle with a breath alcohol level exceeding the prescribed limit of 35 micrograms per alcohol per 100 milliliters of breath. For the first-time offense, carrying a fine up to $12,000 and 3 years imprisonment. Remember, there are no tickets for DUI offenses. It is an offense which calls for the immediate arrest without warrant of a driver who fails or refuses a breath test. We will also wish to highlight to drivers the importance of getting adequate rest. Many fete-goers party late into the morning, then may have to drive long distances back home. This makes them vulnerable to falling asleep at the wheel. Drivers are urged to rest before commencing their journey, be it in the car park of a venue, a gas station, a mall car park, a friend's house, even booking a hotel room for the night. Tired drivers are considered even more dangerous than drunk drivers, so please pay attention to how tired you are and how you may be feeling after these events. We also wish to remind those who may get caught up in the moment that anyone caught smoking marijuana in a public place will be immediately arrested. Just because a party is private and requires a paid ticket for entry, this does not make it a private space. Section 3 of the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act states that a public place means an indoor or outdoor arena or area, whether privately or publicly owned, to which the public has access by right or by invitation, expressed or implied, whether by payment of money or not. Section 5A(1) states, a person who smokes or uses cannabis or cannabis resin in a public place commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $250,000 and to imprisonment for 5 years. And for those who are in the habit of utilizing e-cigarette or vaping devices, please be reminded that the Act also states that smoke in relation to a substance means A, to inhale, exhale, burn, combust, or vaporize the substance. B, to carry any lighted or heated device, pipe, or other product, whether natural or synthetic, for the inhalation of a substance in any manner or in any form, and includes the use of an electronic smoking device that creates an aerosol or vapor in any manner or in any form, or the use of any orally used device for the purpose of inhalation of the substance. Many of these events will have uniformed and plainclothes police officers on duty, so we appeal to you to refrain from lighting it up, as this will result in your immediate arrest. Also, please be reminded that any person who is in possession of more than 30 grams, but not more than 60 grams, of cannabis, or B, more than 5 grams, but not more than 10 grams of its resin, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $50,000. We want everyone to have an enjoyable carnival season, and the officers of the TTPS will be out there enforcing the laws in order to keep you safe. Thank you.
All right. We now open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Hi, good morning. Constable Batson, Sergeant Phillip, Shades Fuller from the Newsday newspaper here.
Yes, sir.
While we understand that the police service is very challenged in trying to address the issue of road safety and fatal RTAs, we're still in the first month and we've already seen several incidents, not all of them fatal, but some even involving children that have been injured. Is there anything else the police can do? Is there anything else the public can do to really try and be a little more road safe?
Well, Shane, we continue to use two main prongs as enforcement and education. We continue to partner with Arrival Live in some of these schools. We have a nice initiative with Mount Hope and Success Laventille Secondary, where we're teaching more on school crossing safety. What we find, though, is that in a lot of these incidents, it's poor judgment and decision-making by drivers that are leading to these situations. And I'm talking about a crash that occurs at 3 a.m. with single vehicle, and these are single vehicle crashes. In most of these, there's nobody to prosecute, Shane. All the drivers are dead. Who are we going to go after? There are choices that people make, and it involves for their own safety, and they only benefit. These road safety laws are for everybody. The consequences for this unsafe behavior, unfortunately, has a ripple effect on families, especially who lose loved ones and breadwinners in many cases. So we'll do our job. There will be heightened presence across, as I'm sure most of you have seen it already. And we also have officers from the highway traffic branch that are right now engaged in heavy training with this new electronic ticketing system. And that's going to have a major impact on deterring reckless behavior. So there's a lot coming, but in the meantime, a lot of these things that are preventable can only do with partnership by people believing that this behavior change only is a win-win for everybody.
Just to dial back, Sergeant Phillip, the issue of marijuana use when driving. Is there any standardized test available right now to determine if someone is under the influence of marijuana? And if, I'm not sure if it will be getting too much into details of it, but exactly how much under the influence they are?
Well, in the case of marijuana, it's all about impairment. So we do not have a device that would measure impairment as yet. We have been, interacting with drug analyzers. We've been looking at different areas where we can impact on this area because, of course, very soon, we are not sure whether or not it will impact in a fatality, fatalities and so on. So we are just working towards gearing up with regards to the impairment part of it.
And just to add to it, I just want everybody to know, 'cause I know the line of question where it's going. There's a process for approved devices that we can use for law enforcement. These have to go through approval, through cabinet, and then the Ministry of Works and Transport for roadside drug testing by officers. As far as I'm aware, that is being considered as we speak. On the next note, which is the point I think you're also trying to raise here in awareness, whereas it is true, if you do a lot of research, impairment of cannabis is still out there with regards to judgment on its impairment of driving. What is undisputable is the effects on drivers when they mix alcohol with cannabis and its effect, the THC effect on the body, or how greatly it impairs judgment, coordination, reaction time. So, and this is where our concern is, because yes, we said you can legally now smoke marijuana in your home, but then you now go and consume alcohol in the fete, still being possibly under the influence at that point of the drug itself. So this is new to the community, this is new to the nation, and we're going to be monitoring it, and we're going to have to deal with it as it comes.
Just one last question from me. I know it's may still be an open investigation, so you may not want to go into too much details. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, a driver from Dabadi was involved in an accident where 2 children were knocked down.
Yes.
And I know that he was charged at first for using the bus route without permission, but he was also being investigated for dangerous driving. Do you know if he has been charged as yet, or is the inquiry still ongoing?
My information is still ongoing. I don't know if Sergeant Meister has any, ASP Meister has any different information.
I know that matter is still being investigated. So we shall have some information for the public very soon as to the progress.
Just for the sake of general information, what is the penalty for dangerous driving again?
It's $3,000 ticketable, right? And $2,000 for illegal use, unauthorized use of the priority bus route. Right? And again, this is where we continue to discourage persons. Yes, we know there's traffic and you want to take a chance on that priority bus route. If you do not have authorization to use it, do not use it. It's a heavy pedestrian, it's a transit route. So a lot of people will be crossing, exiting, crossing from both sides. It requires a lot more alertness. A lot of people do know, even for the maxi taxi drivers, to get that PBR pass, it is mandatory they do defensive driving to obtain that pass to drive on that bus route. Right? So they try to raise that level, even in regards to safety, to operate on it. Unauthorized users pose a increased risk to that route when they use it.
That's it. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for gracing us with your presence. We'll see you all next week, same time, same place. Have a blessed day.